In the aftermath of Jack Smith filing a superseding indictment against Donald Trump in the classified documents case, set to go to trial in May of 2024, Trump now took to Truth Social to issue what I can generously call an unhinged statement. He wrote, "They ought to throw deranged Jack Smith and his thug prosecutors in jail with meritless Garland and Trump-hating Lisa Monaco. They have totally weaponized the Department of Injustice. Whatever happened to the crooked Joe Biden boxes case? Why was Hillary Clinton allowed to delete 33,000 emails, many of them classified, after getting a subpoena from Congress? Why was Bill Clinton allowed to take tapes out of the White House in his socks? Why has no other president ever been charged? Election fraud." Yeah, nothing quite like calling for your own prosecutor to be jailed that screams, "I'm confident in my ability to defend myself in court and absolutely certain that the law is on my side." Now, just to quickly debunk some of the common refrains that we hear from Trump and Republicans as they try to both sides the issue of his prosecution for stealing classified documents. He says, "Whatever happened to the crooked Joe Biden boxes case?" Now, this is a reference to Trump's usual attack against Biden, that he withheld 1,850 boxes of classified documents from his time as vice president. Only, small problem, that is a complete lie. The National Archives has already come out and explained that those boxes, which are housed at his alma mater, the University of Delaware, are his Senate papers, and the files of Congress members, including senators, are considered their personal property and are not subject to the same restrictions as presidential records, which are considered government property. So I get that Trump is desperate to equate himself with Joe Biden to make everyone look bad, to make everyone look like a criminal, but unfortunately, he'll have to continue holding on to that title by himself. He then goes on to ask, why was Hillary Clinton allowed to delete 33,000 emails, many of them classified? First of all, we are talking about something that happened in 2014. Donald Trump is invoking an act that happened almost 10 years ago about someone who isn't even in politics anymore. Not for nothing, but when you need to reach back into the last decade for your already useless whataboutisms, that doesn't exactly say much about your defense. But in terms of the merits of his criticism, remember, the DOJ did an exhaustive investigation into Hillary Clinton and released a report in 2018, meaning it was Donald Trump's Department of Justice who investigated, and they concluded that the investigators made the right call by not charging Hillary Clinton. And that while Trump loves to wail about 33,000 deleted emails, investigators only found 52 that contained references to information that was later deemed classified, and of those 52, only 8 contained top secret material, and none, 0, contained any markings or stampings actually indicating that the material was classified. Now compare that with Trump, who took more than 325 classified records, including at least 60 that were top secret, and unlike those that were in Hillary Clinton's possession, Trump's documents did include headers and footers and cover sheets explicitly indicating that they were classified. Some of the papers found at Mar-a-Lago literally had top secret written on them in bold letters. So if Trump thinks that Hillary Clinton's 8 mishandled top secret documents with no markings on them is enough to throw her in prison for the rest of her life, then by that same logic, surely Donald Trump believes that he too should be in prison, considering he had more than 7 times the amount of top secret documents that Hillary had, and his were actually marked top secret. So yeah, maybe invoking Hillary's criminality isn't exactly the argument that Trump wants to make here. And by the way, there's also the small detail that Hillary Clinton actually cooperated with prosecutors who acknowledged as much, and which was reiterated in the DOJ report. The issue for Trump here is that he chose not to cooperate. Look, politicians mishandle classified documents all the time on both sides of the aisle. Should they be more careful? Absolutely. Should we also reform the classification system? Absolutely. The issue here isn't necessarily what they took, it is the fact that when they were given the opportunity to fix it, one of those people cooperated and the other defied the government's efforts to do that. Remember, Trump wasn't charged solely with unlawful retention of classified documents. The bulk of the charges came from efforts to obstruct efforts to get them back. That's the issue here. So at the end of the day, there is no equivalency between what Trump did and what Hillary did. And finally, Trump invoked the Bill Clinton socks case, which is the most embarrassing move of all, and you're about to see why. When Bill Clinton was president, he was interviewed by a historian, Taylor Branch, who would publish a book about Clinton's presidency in 2009. The interviews between them were recorded on audio tapes that Bill Clinton kept in his sock drawer. At the end of his presidency, the conservative group Judicial Watch sued to consider those tapes as presidential records under the Presidential Records Act, and they wanted them to be put into his presidential library. The National Archives said that those tapes didn't fall within their purview, and in court, a federal judge agreed, recognizing the distinction between those tapes as personal records and not official records. The Presidential Records Act itself describes personal records as including documentary material, diaries, or journals, of which Clinton's audio tapes were. So again, I get that Trump thinks he's helping himself here, but all he's doing is drawing a massive contrast between the literal non-issue that was Bill Clinton hanging on to his own personal interview tapes and Donald Trump stealing hundreds of classified documents, including war plans, and refusing to give them back. In a way, he's hurting his own case by putting that massive disparity on full display. And finally, what would be a Trump tirade without reverting to claims of election fraud, election interference, which is, of course, ironic, considering Trump is about to be indicted for exactly that. I don't know who needs to hear this, but prosecuting a criminal who just so happens to be a candidate for office is not election interference. It is literally our justice system working as it should. It is living proof that no one is above the law. What would it say if you couldn't prosecute someone simply because they were a candidate? That if you murdered someone, all you had to do is declare your candidacy for office and then you're protected by some magical force field. If you think politicians are shady now, just imagine a world in which Trump's logic were actually true. The fact that Trump can and is being prosecuted isn't evidence that the system is broken. It is evidence that it's actually holding up. The truth is that if Trump actually had any plausible deniability here, if he actually had a defense, he wouldn't need to revert to baseless whataboutisms. But the fact that he is all the proof you need that he knows he has no defense. If he did, he wouldn't have to revert to these desperate false equivalencies about things that happened back in the 90s. But he knows that Jack Smith has him dead to rights. And what's worse for Trump is that the facts of this case are clear. Trump stole classified documents, he refused to return them when asked, he defied subpoenas from the National Archives, he had his lawyer issue a false attestation claiming that all of the documents had been returned when they hadn't, the FBI eventually executed a search warrant that turned up everything he pretended not to have, he was even caught on tape admitting to having classified documents, and now he's just been hit with a superseding indictment because Trump tried to have the video surveillance records at Mar-a-Lago wiped. Just to give a brief indication of the abject criminality posed by Donald Trump, here's a brief excerpt from that new indictment. De Oliveira, who's an employee at Mar-a-Lago, took Trump employee 4 to a small room known as an audio closet near the white and gold ballroom. Once inside the audio closet, De Oliveira and Trump employee 4 had the following exchange. De Oliveira told Trump employee 4 that their conversation should remain between the two of them. De Oliveira asked Trump employee 4 how many days the server retained footage. Trump employee 4 responded that he believed it was approximately 45 days. De Oliveira told Trump employee 4 that the boss wanted the server deleted. Trump employee 4 responded that he would not know how to do that and that he didn't believe he had the right to do that. Trump employee 4 told De Oliveira that De Oliveira would have to reach out to another employee who was a supervisor of security for Trump's business organization. De Oliveira then insisted to Trump employee 4 that the boss wanted the server deleted and asked, "What are we going to do?" So if you're wondering what kind of person would be that desperate that he has to blame Bill Clinton, it's the guy who just got caught red-handed obstructing justice. So I have no doubt that we'll see even more desperation from Trump as we inch closer and closer to his May 2024 trial date, along with his other impending trials in Manhattan and Washington, D.C. and Fulton County, Georgia. But all of the panicked diffusions of responsibility aren't going to help him here because it's not Bill Clinton on trial, it's not Hillary, it's not Joe Biden, it is him. And he'll finally have to answer for the crimes that he decided to commit. Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to this channel and do your part to help grow the progressive media ecosystem. I don't do sponsorships or paid ads, I won't ask for money, but just subscribing to this channel goes a really long way and it helps get the message out to more people. The subscribe button is right here on the screen. You can also subscribe to my Spanish language channel, which I made to reach those crucial Spanish-speaking voters. That link is on the screen too. And finally, if you want to listen to my audio podcast, you can follow that link as well. Thanks so much for watching.